All right, everyone, when the Democrats talk to people in public, what they say is, hey, we care about the dreamers or some group of like migrants or whatever. It's moral. Think of the children. They're harmless. You know, the dreamers, they came here to study and work and join the military and stuff. They're basically American anyway. We should continue their temporary status at least because, you know, let's be moral and humane. That's what they say in public. It's all about morality and emotions and feelings. In private, according to this leaked memo we now have from the Center for American Progress, it's a leftist sort of group. According to their memo, they really don't care about that. They only care about votes. Now, what's the second thing that we can then infer from this? The second thing we can infer is that the Democrats' overall long-term plan is to legalize everyone under the DREAM Act, to extend it to a permanent legal status, not a temporary de facto residency status as they have now. A dreamer right now, it's deferred action. They're not being kicked out. Under the DREAM Act, when they qualify, no crimes, studying, military, whatever, they're simply not taking executive action to deport these individuals. The Democrats wanted it, though, and this was already evident because Obama himself attempted to legalize several million people by executive authority, and he was shot down by the Supreme Court. I think what's happened is the Democrats' original plan was do the DREAM Act and go on a 2 or 3 year campaign of propaganda, basically, saying how wonderful they were. They're all, look at these smiling, happy students. Look at this, you know, soldier, he's gung-ho for the red, white, and blue. You know, fuck their parent countries. They're basically Americans. Why don't we just legalize them, people? We got to end this vacuous temporary status. Their idea was to do that and then use Congress to legalize them. They lost control of Congress very quickly. So they said, well, we're going to use executive order to do this. And then the Supreme Court said, no, Mr. Obama, you can't do that. Then they said, well, shit, we need Hillary Clinton to win in order to get these extra hundreds of thousands of voters, as well as being able to use this as a future wedge issue when the Republicans probably cry foul. We can point to them and say, oh, racist, bigots, basically, which isn't true. It's a message of nativism, not a message of bigotry, but, you know, a lot of people conflate the two. They think American is a race. They think not American is also a race. It's rather confusing since there are people from Eastern Europe covered under the DREAM Act, and the far right needs to understand that too. Yes, I understand it's a minority within that minority, but, you know, it doesn't really matter. You got to be more coherent in your worldview, otherwise people tend to tear your arguments apart. You know, it's really perception over reality, yes, but you do have to tip your hat to reality, or it gives someone an opportunity to attack your ideological message. Democrats don't understand this, trust me either. But then Trump unexpectedly won. So they're like, well, crap. I guess we're doomed now. So now they really want to save DACA. And what Trump is going to do, he's going to use this memo, by the way, for political leverage. He's going to come out and say, oh, look, the Democrats don't even really care about the dreamers. I care about them. I think some of them maybe can stay, but the Democrats aren't getting serious on sanctuary cities. They're not getting serious on the border wall. Look, the money I want to allocate is a drop in the bucket compared to the whole economy. They won't even give me that, so I'm sorry, dreamers. I do care. The Democrats don't. I do. But there's nothing I can do about it unless they come to the bargaining table because we've got other problems too. And then Trump can come out and say, yeah, I realize that the people under the DREAM Act are lawful, but there are also unlawful individuals that are illegally here. The Democrats don't care if they come and screw up a country that you say you want to be part of. He'll use this as an ideological machete against the Democratic Party, and he'll carve off bits of their voting bloc, including immigrant votes. I guarantee he'll be successful at doing that if they don't act quickly. But this memo confirms what, you know, people who weren't partisan Democrats already understood. Like, I already understood, yeah, the Democrats are doing this ultimately for votes. They're doing it as a wedge. They don't really care about the little people because they're a corporation. The DNC is just a corporation run by and for rich people. And corporate heads and bankers and multinationals that don't even really represent American interests. That's the DNC. It's also the RNC. They're exactly the same thing. So to expect them to care about any moral issue, it's like, you know, what are you trying to say, dude? They're not going to care about any moral issue. They'll pretend to. They'll present a moral face. They'll say, we're so ethical and moral and high-minded. In private, though, this is the way both parties speak, for the most part. They speak in terms of money and power. Even the Trumpites mostly would do that. Now, Trump, jury's still out on him. I think he actually believes in what he says. That's why a lot of people consider him unhinged. They're not used to a politician saying unorthodox things. But the thing is, it's not unorthodox, it's just the way he actually feels, I think. And so he looks unhinged. What he's actually being, oddly enough, is honest. They just don't understand that. But this memo just proves what people already suspected, which is yes, and indeed, the DREAM Act is basically a stepping stone to blanket amnesty. The Republicans warned about this, and Obama browbeat them and said, well, you're being bigots. Look, look at this happy student here. And they shut up. They stopped talking about it. They didn't want to fight that battle. They said, no, we're not going to vote in favor of amnesty, but we're also not going to make this a major issue. We're going to take a hands-off approach. Then Trump comes and makes them this made the McCains and stuff very uncomfortable, like the Southwest Republicans especially. Like a Republican from a vulnerable area in Arizona or New Mexico or Texas, it really has to worry right now. And he said, no, we're going to build a wall. Sanctuary cities have got to go. We're going to deport anyone who's done even a minor crime while here. And then we can talk about what's left, basically. We're also ending temporary status for a bunch of different groups. We're going to have a temporary travel ban while we increase our security, essentially. Now, all of these are perfectly normal centrist ideas, by the way, by the auspices of the last decade. In the mid-2000s, if you had suggested the DREAM Act should be extended to amnesty, you would have been considered a fanatic. You would have been considered a rabidly left-wing, a socialist, probably called a commie or a pinko. And people would have thought you were out of your fucking mind, including a lot of Democrats. Now, though, in the post-Obama era, the Democrats have been hijacked by people who, they're not more far left on these issues. They're just more given over to using them as political leverage. They talk more about them. They obsess over these issues. Really, it's just projection, because in private, they talk like this. They say, oh, it's about votes, it's about money, it's about power. Well, no shit. Of course it is. It's like most of the Republicans when they ramble about how much they love guns. I'm sure that these fat old dudes, they love to go out sports shooting. They love to go hiking 5 miles through the woods to shoot a deer. Bullshit. No, they use it as a wedge issue. That's why they never seek to repeal any existing gun control. Trump's the first Republican president, since the pre-Reagan administration to actually talk seriously about it and do something. Give Trump credit where credit is due, my goodness. The Democrats will talk the talk, but they'll never walk the walk when it comes to solving the issue of illegal immigration. Anyway, they don't want to solve it. They want it to be a wedge issue. It's one of their main selling points. What the hell would they want to solve it? It's just like the farm industry, and the left understands this. The funny thing is, they'll apply this logic to a corporation, but not to a political party seeking those donations from those same corporations. It's like a pharma company. The pharma company doesn't want to cure some chronic ailment. It wants to manage it into remission by selling you a pill that you have to buy every month. That's what they really want. And so you'll understand that. You'll say, well, yeah, that makes sense, of course. Because evil capitalism, it's not really capitalism, but you understand what I mean. They'll admit that, but then they won't extend that same logic to that company donates millions to a political campaign. Well, no, that won't tarnish the Democratic Party. They won't keep that in mind. They don't use the same exact mentality despite having the same exact goals of perpetuating their existence as easily and as effectively as possible. Of course they don't give a fuck about the dreamers. They see them as pawns. They see all black voters as pawns. It's all the time. The Democrats are like, oh, black voters this, black people, the inner cities this. And the Al Sharptons and Jesse Jacksons and Hillary Clintons just see them as pawns. Give us money, vote for us, magically things will be better. And yet, decade after decade, have things gotten better in any of the communities that they so-called serve? Of course not. And they never will get better. They'll probably get worse. They'll get worse, and then they'll blame it on somebody else and say, okay, vote for me this time, I promise I'll fix your problems. Decades later, nothing's been solved. We have that problem in every community within the United States. It's about time people understood that the Democrats aren't some moral, virtuous party of mavericks who are trying to save the world. The Democratic Party is a corporate machine. That's all it has been. It's just more evident now. In the wake of Hillary Clinton sucking down banker cash, it became more evident. When her opponent basically self-funded and told the donors, screw yourself. It looked pretty damn good. And even with Trump, he's still just a mild reformer. Just think of that, how shitty the Democrats have to be to look so terrible next to someone who ultimately is a mild version of populism. That's all Trump is. And he looks stellar compared to these people. Read the fucking memo. Yeah, spread word that the Democrats don't care about the dreamers. Even though it was already evident to anyone who wasn't a partisan, there are a lot of Democrats who don't want to acknowledge that that's the fact. I can't wait to see being liberal do a fluff piece say, well, the Democratic Party, the DNC needs to distance itself from this group, obviously, because they're all a bunch of bigots. They must secretly be Republicans. They'll find some idiot way to get around it ideologically for their brain-dead fan base. And the thing is, it's like Clinton's communications director is the one that wrote the memo. It's someone intrinsically connected to Clinton and thus the DNC. It's not just some rogue group that's full of bigots and doesn't represent our views at all. No, it's someone entrenched with the DNC, with the Democratic Party at large. This is the way that they talk in private. This is the way pundits act in private. Like when they have a hot mic moment and say, oh, the voters are really dumb, that's just the way that they talk all the time. It's because they're not independent media. They're a bunch of rich billionaires. Multinationals sign their paychecks. No shit, they don't care about the American people. Nor, by the way, do they care about the people of any other country they broadcast in. The politicians. Sometimes it seems like there are people in D.C. who care more about other states than they do about the United States. It's not the way it was meant to be, but it's the way that it is. And a lot of them are Democrats. There are some Republicans among them too. Hell, if a third party were in charge, there would be people in that party that would sell us out too in order to make money or to keep getting elected, to get power, to feed their egos. Just sort of the way these idiots are. I wonder why the United States has problems. Says the identitarian, it's just demographics. Oh, it's just bigots, says the leftist. No, I think it's this fundamental problem. It's just natural human corruption that we've enabled, unfortunately. Well, we need to dis-enable as much of that corruption as possible. That's why you constrain government, but people never want to try that, even though it's already been successful before. No, the Constitution means nothing, they say. Okay, good luck with that one. See if you can create any sort of stability over time. That's about all. Peace out.